Professor Brain Brown's research shows that vulnerability fosters good emotional and mental health. It is a sign of courage. We become more resilient and brave when we embrace who we truly are and what we are feeling. The Vulnerable Scientist podcast is a space for scientists to tell their honest and authentic stories. I am your host, Sarah Nyakeri, who happens to be a scientist, informal science communicator, and I help scientists create personal websites. If you want to support this show, go to www.patreon.com/thevulnerable-scientist. You can also follow this podcast on all social media platforms at TV Scientist Pod. Hi, welcome to another episode of Dr. Christian Keambou's story. And in this part, I'm going to ask more questions about his journey, just to get the details, just to understand the whole dynamics of him navigating the postgraduate education. And I hope you enjoy it. Okay, first of all, how long did it take for you to move from your BSc to your MSc, your first MSc?
That was finally 5 years.
5 years.
Because I told you 3.5 years.
Yes, in your BSc. Then after that, how long did you stay out before you went to your MSc?
Almost 6 months. And that's when we started doing the chili farm. Because we were really jobless and doing nothing.
So did you look for opportunities at that time? Before your MSc?
Of course, you try to apply for different entrance examinations to do this professional training, whatever. But for me, I tried once, was not successful. I say I'm no more trying that because for me the condition was not so good. Let me try to do something where I think I'm more autonomous.
What do you mean the conditions are not so good?
No, okay. For you to, those common entrance examinations were not written in my university town. So we need to travel to where it is organized, and the application for all those has some cost that we are not able always to gather. So, and I had to, if I want to go, have to leave my chili plantation for some days, and it can be challenging. So I was just trying to weigh different part of the fund accounts and see where are the real opportunity for me. And I noticed that investing yourself in something where you can control instead of always being dependent or being civil servant is not always the best.
Okay.
Though I end up being a university lecturer, that's a civil servant. But there I learned to do things differently. Because at that time, with my background knowledge in animal breeding, I was able to put in place a farm, private farm, where I was even working with students, recruiting students coming there for internships, etc.
Oh, nice.
And so when my first grant came, yes, that I can say organization or cooperative that I created that time was also supporting some students. So though being civil servant, we try to do something different to really show students that they should not only be thinking being employee, they can also be employer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you miss farming? Ama, do you still farm?
I miss it a lot. That's why most of the time when I have, when available over the weekend, you'll find me here in a rural area in Kenya. Most of my weekends, if I'm not in the office, I will be somewhere in rural area. I will be visiting farmers. Discussing with them, try to understand the production system because things are a bit different from here as compared to Cameroon. And we don't have such dairy system that we have here in Cameroon. And I noticed that it can be very lucrative. The the way you produce some crops and some livestock, the way you have the Kenyeji here is different system from Cameroon. So I try to see what is positive here, that what should be improved, etc. So I spend time discussing with farmers also to learn from them and to share with them what I think is also can be useful to them.
So this is real passion.
Yeah.
Okay. So what made you enroll? Yes, you have this farm business. What made you enroll for that first master's?
Okay. Though I was doing the farm business, I still wanted to gain more knowledge. And my parents were also pushing me, continue. But remember, I told you I started doing the chili business with a colleague.
Yes.
A friend. We graduated together. We were both jobless, and we decided to go to the farm. But when our first farm, half hectare, was producing very well and giving us some resources, he joined another friend with whom they started 2 hectares. Yes. And the father to that friend was doing industrial banana plantation, so the father gave him 2 hectares of forest. Just timbers from the forest gave them a lot of money. And my friend bought a car. Still student. And when they started producing chili from the 2 hectares, it was a lot of money. So my friend dropped school. He said he's not returning to do the MSc. He wants to go for farming.
Fully fledged.
Yes. And they did very well. They got a lot of money. But at the end, he noticed that, okay, he also wanted to go to diversify. So even him, when doing his farming, he went for custom studies. Though having background biology, like me, he went for custom studies because he noticed that, okay, when we are producing, you need to be good in managing, selling, and they were targeting export business. So that's why he went for those studies. But I said, let me return to the university and continue. I had some challenges. Sometimes there was a drought that was very challenging. We're no more able to use manual irrigation. And that time we're not having a motor pump, so I lost almost 75% of my crops in the farm. Yes, and that's why I really convinced myself, yes, I was right not to totally drop my MSc. And that's why also motivated me that even doing farming, I can do my MSc in agribusiness or in the animal breeding, etc.
Oh.
And this is what connected me to the second MSc.
Okay, so what's the time lapse between the first and the second MSc?
Now, between the two, there was no major time lapse because now it was between. I was moving from faculty of science, where I was doing zoology and ecoparasitology. I moved to the faculty of agriculture. Yes, where now I was to focus on animal breeding. So the transition was not too challenging. And that time, in fact, it was the time they were launching the MSc in animal breeding for that faculty. Okay. So we're the first promotion. And as it was within the same university and they had all my transcript that, okay, I completed everything from the neighboring faculty. I just need to migrate while waiting for my document to be ready. So they accepted me to start immediately the second MSc without delay while waiting for my certificate. for the first semester to come.
So your business was still funding your MSc, right?
Yes, my business was still funding my second MSc.
Okay, which university is this?
University of Chang.
From BSc to the two
I
MScs.
did all my studies at the University of Chang.
Okay.
From first year to the PhD.
So
Chang
when
is written,
it's written?
DSCH, ANG.
Chang. Hey, that's Chang.
Yes, it's like a German name.
Okay.
But the city was founded by German.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I see. So it's Chang.
Chang.
Mm. Okay. So after you've done your second MSc, did you look for opportunity?
Yes, of course, because I was thinking that with the second MSc, it's possible to already start teaching here and there. That time, as I told you, I was teaching also part-time in secondary school.
Yes.
Yes. So, and the benefits or the salary from that activity, I was sharing into two, 50-50, where 50% is to take care of myself and 50% is to invest in my experimental poultry farm.
Okay.
Yeah. And I did it throughout MSc and PhD, but at the level of PhD now, with more experience in animal breeding, I was doing some consultancies. And I told you that I was also called by some other private universities, including
tutor.
Yeah, including even JQuat here. Before I finish, I was also supporting JQuat. I'm still working with Pan-African University. My last PhD student just graduated last year, 2021, from Pausti.
So there was no gap between the second MSc and your PhD. You just went straight away.
I went straight away.
And you funded your own PhD, apart from the last part where the molecular part where you came to ILRI, right?
Exactly.
Okay. All right. Sorry, I had to get that whole story. Well, I have to understand the whole story. Yeah. So what are the, apart from the highs of you being able to run this farm business and it was working, and also being able to get a fellowship, though it took time for you to actually get finish your PhD, of almost 2 years, and also being able to come to Kenya to pursue your career, what are the other highs that might be related directly to your career or not that you got during that between the BSc and your PhD?
Of course, we have support from and encouragement from friends from the same programs within the universities, and sometimes some university lecturers who are like friends and family to you, encouraging you to continue even when it is challenging. This is something that I really don't take for granted. Having good friends, people who advise you and guide you, and sometimes even give you some pocket money. Yes. That is something that you can't really take for granted. Yeah.
All right.
Because I can tell you, I when completing my PhD, I first applied as a lecturer in my university, my home university. And I fell to that recruitment, just, I don't know exactly why. But only for that night when the results were out, I cried seriously. But before the morning, I changed my mind. I said, I came here for this purpose, was to obtain my PhD. And I may end up never being university lecturers or anything connected to universities. And that is when I also started building my capacities as consultant in animal production. Yeah. And this was done with support, moral support, all forms of support from those friends from the same class and some other junior colleagues at the university. Yes.
What happened with that opportunity, really?
Oh, okay. Recruitment is the competition. So I was thinking that I was the first, but I was demonstrated the contrary. So I just had to accept it.
Okay. All right. So how did you get out of that? The same friends, they're the ones who supported you handling that rejection.
Yes. Because that time I was already advanced in my PhD, so I was also supporting my supervisors and some other small tasks at the department level within the university. So yes, they really supported me very well in that department. Yes, with different advices. And I told you during that period of 2 years, everybody, all of them were looking for where to have a grant, a fellowship for Christian. Because they know Christian has been very helpful to everybody. It's not fair for him to be stuck for 2 years because there is no financial resource. So that's how they were looking here and there for opportunities. And by the way, they are the one who informed me. Let me tell you the story of having the fellowship here.
Yes.
Though I was not moving, I was stuck in my PhD, I was still coming to the department of animal production every day, where I was using the office of my supervisor. That time my supervisor was already appointed dean, so I'm the one who was handling the teaching, etc. And giving the feedback to him. So
for free, or you were being paid?
Okay, the compensation was at different level because as I was helping to supervise his junior students at the engineer level and MSc level, and most of the time those students were coming from different countries with their own grants, like from Kora, from Farah, from Asareka, etc. So, and the overhead that is coming to the universities or to the department, my supervisor could say, okay, this part which is coming to me as supervisor to these students, since you are the one really working with them, supervising them in the farm, in their writings, etc., can you use that money to support your own PhD research, taking care of your animals? So this is how I remained connected to the university, because what I was doing was not it was not big benefit, but it was helping me to support my research.
Yeah, PhD.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, so you're saying something?
Yes.
About how you get to ILRI. So you are working in the
Yes, I was still in the department, and those friends who were already assistant lecturer or lecturers that time, they are the one who informed me that there is someone coming from a place called Baker in Kenya, and he is here to give a conference. And the guy is a Cameroonian, and he is having a conference. They indicated me the hall where the guy is having a conference. I was not aware. I was not invited. But let me tell you, I find my way to get into that room.